In her keynote speech Tuesday morning, AFN National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Niepenek took direct aim at the Ottawa-Alberta MOU.
On the weekend, we saw a national report on the Alberta-Canada MOU state categorically that the mantra of free, prior and informed consent from Indigenous communities is gone, as if First Nations rights can be wiped away with one federal-provincial MOU. It was difficult to watch BC and many First Nations excluded from these discussions, particularly on the Pacific Coast.
She followed this up by saying if the Carney government plans to make Canada a worldwide energy leader, it will need to change its current approach to development projects that involve First Nations.
Over $600 billion of projects are forecast to be launched on our traditional lands over the next decade. The potential benefits are in the trillions of dollars, but they won't advance without First Nation support. Until an appropriate development process is established and founded in free, prior and informed consent, the Crown's constitutional legal obligations will not be met. This is the law, and it can't be wished away.
The MOU is signed without input from the British Columbia government or coastal First Nations. It opens the door to a number of legislative changes for a proposed pipeline from Alberta to the West Coast, including lifting a long-held oil taker ban in the area. This doesn't sit right with the old Masset Village Council from Haida Gwaii, which put forward an emergency resolution against the proposed pipeline.
The Oil Tanker Moratorium Act is vital legislation as a result of over 50-year moratorium that is a result of recognized BC North and Central Coast are some of the most dangerous waters in the world. An oil spill in the area is not an if, it is when.
Late Tuesday afternoon, the Prime Minister himself addressed the Assembly. He said earlier in the new year, the government will be hosting a joint federal, provincial, territorial First Ministers meeting with First Nations. And the Liberals will also introduce First Nations clean water legislation in the spring, originally promised this fall. Carney also said projects like the proposed pipeline must be seen as a beginning and not an end. During the question and answer, Neskantaga First Nation Chief Gary Cuisis took the Prime Minister to task for failing to lift a boil water advisory in his community for over 3 decades.
And hearing you comments that you've been lifting boil water advisories in Canada, but I don't know which part of the country you're talking about that's water is being lifted, but our community hasn't been lifted for 30 years.
In his answer, Carney admitted the government had failed the community.
And that's a failure, to be absolutely clear. You know it's a failure. You've lived through it most of your adult life. It's a failure of execution, and this is one of the things that this government is very focused on, is setting objectives, being clear about the objectives, determining why things have not worked as well as they should.
Carney stopped the Q&A before all chiefs could speak, upsetting Cold Lake First Nation Chief Kelsey Jacko.
Chief Jacko, please. We understand.
Assembly enters its second day on Wednesday. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.